2022 saw the highest number of book bans across America since the American Library Association began tracking the issue over 2 decades ago. Many of those libraries fighting to keep access to books of all voices are relying on a document that has its origins right here in Des Moines. Books bring a world never before possible into reach.
And there used to be very little bits of information, and it was only available to a privileged few.
Since 2018, Susan Woody has served as the director of the Des Moines Public Library, the largest in the state.
Librarians take their responsibility extremely seriously. They don't look at their own personal views. We very consciously make sure that whatever the issue is, both sides are represented.
The ability for everyone to have access to books from all viewpoints may be traced to one of her predecessors in Des Moines nearly a century ago.
But libraries have always been about making information available to everyone, and everyone's information needs are completely different, and that's why we have to offer so many different types of information, kinds of information, and every viewpoint on information.
In the 1930s, American tension with other countries was running high.
The rise of totalitarianism, the rise of racism, and there was a lot going on with the World War II and the Depression aftermath.
Book censorship of minority experiences, along with Russian and German politics, became prevalent. Des Moines Public Library director at the time, Forrest Spalding, stood firm in his beliefs of a library's power to be a voice, no matter one's race, religion, or ethnicity.
What Forrest Spalding did was to let people know that the libraries are for everyone and that all points of view must be represented. And we want to make sure that all voices are heard and that people have access to that information.
In 1938, in an effort to stop books from being questioned in the future, Spalding created the Library Bill of Rights.
But the core remains the same: access to books, representation of all ideas, and anti-censorship.
Approved in Des Moines right away, the Bill of Rights then caught fire across the country.
He started out as just a Library Bill of Rights with 4 points, presented that to his then board of director, but he had friends with the American Library Association, and they got a hold of this and thought this was a fantastic idea, adopted it, and then it's been revised a few times over the years.
A year before America would even enter World War II, Spalding was pushed hard to remove Mein Kampf, Hitler's autobiography, because of its German nationalistic views.
At the time, there was a lot of anti-German sentiment, and he wanted to make sure that all points of view are represented and all people are represented, especially African Americans at the time.
Spalding felt that if more people knew about Hitler, more might urge America to enter into the war quicker to stop him.
And the idea that we can learn from these stories, and knowledge is power, and knowledge is not something that should be controlled, nor should it be banned.
Woody says Spalding's legacy is now under attack.
But we have political, religious, conservative groups who are on the offensive. And what Forrest Spalding was all about was we have to come together and we have to rally against all forms of censorship.
Recent legislation awaiting Governor Kim Reynolds' signature would make it easier for parents to call books with graphic depictions of sexual acts into question at their local school libraries.
There's LGBTQ+, and there's all sorts of different voices out there that we need to hear their stories that we can identify with and stories that we can learn from. And that's what Forrest was trying to tell us. All people's stories are important and we must represent all points of view.
Municipal libraries may seem off limits from the government's long arm, but with action under the dome, hitting close to home with school districts, leaders like Woody are watching closely from their doorstep.
It's happening, it's increasing, and I am very fearful. We are a very powerful, large library, but there are smaller libraries which are the community pride. They are the seats of civic responsibility, and they're being challenged in their small communities.
New leaders turning the page to a new chapter